Okay, what we got here today is a Fierce Aero vintage aerobatic model, classic legal, designed by Wild Bill Netzeband back in the 60s, and this particular model was built by the late great Mike Gretz, SIG Manufacturing, designer of the Twister and a numerous long list of other designs and kits. Mike was I considered him a good friend and one of the, I call it, true legends of modeling, and I had an opportunity to buy this model from Bob Nelson, who got it from Mike's wife Doris at a garage sale. She was finally starting to sell off some of Mike's stuff. Mike passed away from, I believe it was a brain cancer or a brain tumor 4 or 5 years ago, and I think we're just going to take this out and fly it in his remembrance every now and then, and don't really know what to expect from it, but we've ground run the engine and got a pretty decent motor run and cleaned some stuff out of the tank. So I got to try to think like Mike Gretz and how he started it and stopped it and operated it, and let's see if I'm his equal. I'm Dan McEntee, member of the Lafayette Escadrille Model Airplane Club, and this is Fierce Aero, classic legal control line stunt model designed by Wild Bill Netzeband, and this particular airplane was built by the late great Mike Gretz of SIG Manufacturing, and I acquired it out of Mike's estate through Bob Nelson, SIG Manufacturing, and owned it about 2 years now and been easing into flying it. When I first got it, I wasn't too sure how much I wanted to fly it, because I really respected Mike a lot and just glad to have, you know, something that was his. And Bob Nelson said he had tried to fly it and didn't really have many comments on it. And I weighed the model and it weighed 50 ounces, so I wasn't too sure how well a Fox 35 would fly a 50-ounce airplane. So after a few initial test runs on the ground, just did some roundy round flights with it, and I was impressed at how well and how clean the design is, just what Wild Bill Netzeband would say. It's a nice clean design, so it makes very good use of the power that you've got in the front end. And but after several just easy does it flights with a few simple maneuvers, I started having problems with rust coming out of the tank. So over a period of a year or so, I worked with rinsing the tank out with vinegar and letting it sit and draining that and then running it on the ground, and I eventually through repeated ground runs and treatments with vinegar, I shook loose all the rust that was in the tank. Then I discovered I couldn't get the pattern in with the way Mike has the tank and the overflow and stuff installed. He only has 2 exits coming out, one for where it goes to the engine and the other one where it goes to the overflow. So I did some modifications on the nose to get a little ram air into the overflow to pressurize the tank, and then to be able to fuel the airplane, I added a tube that goes around to a T-fitting that I put on the pickup line going to the Venturi that I plug off, and I squeeze the line just ahead of the nipple into the Venturi, and I can fill the tank, and once the tank's filled, then I plug it off. Seems to work just fine. After I got the airplane flying like a normal airplane where I could just set it down, fuel it, and fly it, didn't have to take the cowl on and off, I started getting serious about trying patterns with it, and got about 5 or 6 patterns in on it, then started experimenting with the props, and then went from a 10-6 top flight butter knife blade, old-fashioned prop, to some rev up 10-6 extra wise. I just went right to the biggest one that I could put in there, and I knew that's what guys did back in the day when they had 50-ounce airplanes that they needed to get every ounce of the performance out of the Foxes that they could. And the flight that you're going to see here was a result of some of that, and I added a ½ ounce of nose weight to it. When the engine quit, it tends to get a little squirrely, which is really typical of any kind of a delta wing configuration, and ½ ounce might be just a bit too much. I might chuck it down to about 1/4 ounce next time I take it out and fly it. But I'm just proud to have something that belonged to Mike Gretz, who was somebody that I considered a friend. Got to know him many years ago for going to the SIG control line contest up in Montezuma, Iowa. I went 28 consecutive straight years before they quit having it in 2012, and was really saddened when we lost Mike to brain cancer a few years ago. So this is Mike Gretz's Wild Bill Netzeband's Fierce Arrow. In the near future, I hope to build a 400 square inch version using this same paint scheme. It'll be a little bit easier to store than this big monster, but there still might be one of these in my future too. I might decide to build one myself one of these days. It actually flies a lot better than I thought it would.